today we're here with a very special guest whose name is Mr. Ola, who is the founder of BMAN. So less of that, and can you give us your quick introduction?
Yes, good morning,
Oh, and
good
thank you for joining.
afternoon, and
Forgot.
good evening. Yeah, thank you. Good to have me. I'm glad to be here and to be part of your show. I am Ola Akinwe. I'm the founder and president of Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network, registered here in Nigeria and as well as the United States of America. So we focus on cultivating young men with the tools they will need to navigate the the road to manhood, you know. And our mission is to ensure that we nurture boys with positive life outcomes by instilling in them ethical literacy, non-violent communications, and are young men who will love, inspire, value, and educate other members in their society.
That is a beautiful initiative. So you mentioned how you wanted to leave a lasting impact. If BMAN were to shut down tomorrow, would your program leave a lasting impact, or would the boys you helped over the years, you like, would they revert to the same challenges they faced before your intervention?
Yeah, let me say this. The need for mentorship for young men, as long as the world exists, as long as there's the existence of mankind, that need will forever be needed. You can so the boys mentorship is, let me say it this way. Mentorship or mentoring is the highest form of education. Now, what is the goal? The goal is to help a young man navigate the journey from boyhood to manhood. So the boys I have been able to influence their life positively over the years. It's not their desire to look at the work that we have done, that it should just go down the drain or come to an end. When I don't think what we have done with the boys can even end with their life cycle. How do I mean? When you've heard this saying that when you educate a girl, you either educate a nation or you empower a nation. In the same way, when you educate a boy, what happens is that you educate a generation and empower generations. So, for those boys that had benefited from our programs, what we'll see is that we have empowered generations that will come after those young men, because they're going to have children. Their children is going to have children. You can't give what you don't have. What you have given to them, it will help them to give quality mentorship to other young men that are even coming after us. That is becoming a generative adults that want to see to the next generation of young minds, young people who needs mentorship, who desire mentorship. And like I said, we are empowering generations.
That is wonderful, honestly. And I've seen the facilities you've shown, and it really seems like that is your goal. So you emphasize the need for mentorship and community in a way. Do you think this mindset unintentionally makes boys emotionally dependent on external validation rather than fostering true self reliance?
We were having a network. The network was fluctuating when you were asking this question. Could you please just repeat the question so I can get more on the clarity from you?
Of course. I said by emphasizing the need for mentorship, are you unintentionally making boys emotionally dependent on external validation rather than fostering true reliance in a way? Or do you have a plan for this?
Yes, let me first give you an understanding of, if I ask you, Pari, who is the girl, or I ask who is the boy, the understanding of who a boy is will lead us to, perhaps we can cultivate these young people towards self-reliance, inner strength, understanding their identity and purpose, ability for them to develop the courage that they are going to need when they encounter challenges in life. So the first thing, let's get something clear. Who is actually a boy? Because what I find out is that if I don't know who a boy is, then how do I mentor a boy? If I don't know who a girl is, how do I mentor a girl? First, we need to establish what defines a boy, or what characteristic describes a boy. Now, let's begin this way. From the biological beginnings, a boy will be regarded as a biological male child. Now, when we agree to that, the next thing that will establish that a boy is a little brother who is immature, who is irresponsible, who lacks a good sense of judgment under the legal age of 18. That gives us the scope of who a boy is. Now, where are we taking the boy to in terms of mentorship? It then means a boy will become an adult male who, by biological makeup, it becomes an adult male. Now, from little brother, we mentor to become a big brother. From immaturity, he emotionally, physically, socially, and spiritually, and mentally, to from that immaturity to a man who is mentally matured, emotionally matured, ethically matured, spiritually matured, mentally matured. So when you talk about emotional intelligence, you are referring to emotional maturity. Now, what we do that is very, very significant in our mentorship program is we create an understanding for the young men to know, why do I need to be forced, immature, to become mature? Why is Pari has to be an immature girl to grow up to become a mature woman? What are the processes? So we lay the foundation for them to understand what is physical maturity, what is emotional maturity, what is social maturity, and what is mental maturity in the four dimensions of our maturity program. So they go into this. Then we establish the roles of being a little brother and the roles of being a big brother. From there, you take it to the point of irresponsibility. A boy is first irresponsible, who then we mentor to become responsible. you have to outline or enumerate what are the responsibility of men in the society. They protect the family, they preserve the generation, they provide for the family, and so on. So we establish the areas that this is what you're going to do because men are the pillar of the society. And my mantra, one of the things I say to young men, when boys don't learn, men won't know. When boys don't learn, men won't know. So you now
Okay,
see
all
the
right.
place of becoming responsible. We take them through. Then we go into what we call not having a good sense of judgment. This is the area where we talk about decision making. Now, a little boy is still going to have mistakes in making decisions. Then it will lead you to understanding who then is a man. A man then maintains a good judgment, not only having a good sense of judgment, but also maintains a good sense of judgment. Then you know it's okay. The final part is the legal aspect of it. You have to be 18 before you be considered a young adult. So when you get to 18, we understand the prime years of manhood. So holistically, when you have a curriculum that encompasses all of this and use it to deliver or as deliverables for mentorship for young men, I can tell you that you already understand the job we do with these young people.
Okay, I love that. So, can you tell me that nonprofits often rely on external funding and goodwill by the people? Do you believe this model is sustainable, or are you trying to find a new system of funding for your organization?
Yes, like that's absolutely correct. We we rely majorly on donors to keep this work ongoing. And like I showed you our facility here, this costs a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Our work is a lot. And most of the programs we run here at this center, they are 90% absolutely free. So in terms of funding, we appeal to the generosity of humanity to help us advance this important cause of cultivating our young men to become men with positive life outcomes.
Okay, all right. And a question for you, which is you can answer to your personal opinion with, is do you believe human nature is inherently good, bad, or neutral? And if it's bad or neutral, how do you think society can truly fix people? And like without fundamentally altering who they are. Like if two people live completely opposite lives but both believe they're good, who decides which is right? How does B-Man decide what is inherently correct?
You have to look at humanity from the existential purpose. Why do we exist as a human being? Why do I have to come here and be on the planet Earth? So for me, for about 21 years, that has been the basic quest of my entire life. And in existential, I find out that there's a duality of the human purpose. I've written a book about it, but I've not launched it yet. It's called The Ultimate Purpose of Life. When you understand the ultimate, there's difference between the purpose of life and the purpose in life. When humanity understands this duality, it will help us to approach life in a holistic way where there will be a harmony from everyone on the planet. Now, let me explain this in depth for you to have an understanding of. The purpose of life is to live. Live. That is the purpose of life. Now, when you take this word live, it will give you four-letter words, right? Now, if you reverse that word, it will give you evil. You start with the last letter Evil. It will give you evil. And if you start with the first letter, it will give you live. Now, what I've done is to create an acronym to explain to humanity the purpose of your existence. The L is to love. You are here on this planet to express your love for mankind. And if everyone is loving, the frequency of the world will be love. The I is to inspire others. You've come here with inspiration to give life to the planet. You are here, you've been added to this world. Your life is to also breathe life into others. Inspire, your life is giving life. When you get into a community of people, your presence there brings life out of every other people there. The world will be in harmony. And the V in that letter is to value others. When I see the life in you as equal life in me, I place the same value on your life, on my life. Therefore, no one kills, no one destroys. So
And
that is the
E?
purpose of, and the E is to educate others. You are here with all your experiences, with all your knowledge to pass the light on. What is to educate, to bring out the best potential of people around you. Pari, when we all do this, then we will have a harmonious world. Then the second part of the duality of the human purpose is the purpose in life. The purpose in life is to serve. That is why we find our occupations, area of service, where you want to contribute to humanity. I want to be a doctor, you serve in the health industry. I want to be a lawyer, you serve in the legal industry. I want to be a farmer, you serve in food industry. So we have to find our service. Once you find your service, then you live, you love, you inspire, you value, and you educate. Then the duality of your existence is balanced. Then humanity can have the well-being of our collective existence.
So you talk about how life is about fulfilling your path. So why did you make it so that your path is to empower young boys? What brought you to this path? Why did you choose that this is going to be my mission? This is how I'll contribute to society.
Is one, there's a spiritual aspect of it. Secondly, there's a work aspect of it. And thirdly, I think if there's a pre-birth experience, I think that is what I have chose to come and do here. I give you a scenario from the spiritual perspective. On the 21st of May, 2001, precisely, at about 5:47 a.m., I had a little trance, like a dream, where I saw a whole number of boys. They were captured in a building, in a prison. And whoever makes attempt to come and liberate them, free them, grant them freedom, they will all die because they have these three hefty individuals that man the gate of these premises, that whoever goes in to make an attempt to release the boys from the prison, they're going to die. And I find myself in the midst of these young people, young boys. They were gorgeously dressed in white apparel. And that was one of our colors in BMAN is white. One of our primary colors is white. And I saw the radiance of these young men all over the world. And I said, I am here to liberate you, to get you out from your captors. And the way I spoke to them, they loved me. They never wanted me to die. So a lot of them start weeping that as many that has come here to attempt to liberate us, they all died. So I just advanced with a kind of anger in me that I am ready to lay down my life for these young men to live the beautiful life they are here to live. Pari, as I advanced into the gate of this prison, I just realized there was a kind of a thick darkness that separated me and these men. And they came with a kind of sword to pierce into my body, but they all missed the target and they fell down to their faces. And the boys trampled on them to get out from the prison. And when they all came out, they carried me up in jubilation, and I was very, very elated. And look, this was achieved. But this did not materialize until 2017. 2001 to 2017. It's a long year. I was an administrator in a school, and I admitted a young man into the school who had missed school for 2 solid years because his father has lost his job and they were struggling to pay school fees. When this happened, after a lot of appeal and all of that, I got this boy into school. But 2 weeks or 3 weeks into the school, he was caught to have stolen from his classmate. And when that happens, the law says when you steal, you're automatically expelled from the school. But I waved in and I called the dad. The dad came to me and, he said his son has not stolen. He had stolen. Permit my son not to go on expulsion. Whatever the punishment that my son will serve, I'm here to come and serve the punishment on his behalf. And he wept in my office. So I gave this boy a 2-week suspension, and every day of that 2 weeks, he has to resume back for a one-on-one classes, mentorship, So after the 2 weeks, I understand the place this young man is coming from. The young man that has beautiful childhood experiences, good schools when he was in the elementary school. All of a sudden, this thing disappears, live in a very good family environment. Everything was gone. Nobody could explain to him why life changes drastically with him and with his family. So I appeal to all his classmates to understand the kind of beginnings he had and the current life situation his family are going through. And that was understood. So in the end, Pari, I called on all the boys in the school and I asked a question. How many of you really, really, truly have great relationship, mentorship, friendship with your dad or an adult male that has positive influence in your life? Believe me, 70% of these young people do not have a man that really, really see to their life positive outcomes. So I then sent a letter to the parent. Look, every Friday, we'll be having a mentoring classes for young men. And that's what give birth to, or what led to this work, Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network. And up to date, the classes are still ongoing. We've mentored a large number of boys. In fact, we're mentoring boys globally now from different parts of the world. This is how it all began. This is how I find my path with this spiritual beginning of what I saw in 2011 and what happens in 2017 gave me that confirmation that this is why I came here, and to teach humanity as well about the duality of the human purpose so that we can live harmoniously and support one another and help our young men to grow into the man that society will be proud of,
I
not the
see.
man that is, yeah.
Okay, so you talk about, like, on the topic of father and son relationships, you've hosted numerous events and panel discussions on issues like father wounds and suicide. But beyond the discussions, how do you measure whether these conversations lead to actual change in boys' lives? Could some of your initiatives be more symbolic than transformative?
Yeah, thank you. You see, one of the things is that despite all of the programs that we have had, I believe when you have men, I mean enough men that can take the boys on a journey. Pari, what is mentorship? Let's
Oh,
break
sure.
it down. You see, when you see mentorship, the first three letters there is MEN, man. So the next letter in between, let's say is tall. Men taking tall with the boys on a relationship because the shape is HIP in the last letter talks about whether companionship, relationship, friendship, and all of that. So whether it's father and son, whether it's whatever, whether it's what you're referring to suicide and all of that, what it means to me is, do we have enough men that can create positive relationship, sustain this relationship in a positive way until our young boys become a man with positive outlook of life. Suicide for me is never an end. It's
Okay,
never end. You just kill the body. The life has not ended.
all right. And another question for you is, how do you justify the criteria for who gets help from your nonprofit and those who doesn't? Like, which boys get selected to be a part of your school and which doesn't?
Everyone is welcome. Look, we have needs for different boys. For instance, we have the literacy programs for boys, especially those that cannot read and write. Instead of being a founder of Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network, I'm also a literacy activist. I believe literacy is the currency of the knowledge economy. So, on everyone that is not literate, he's going to have challenges in navigating the knowledge economy. So, for boys who cannot read and write, we have a literacy program for them. For those who had, we also have the Solve It, we call it the SIR, Solve It Right. Is a mathematics mentoring program for boys who want to pursue interest in mathematics related field. We have the true colors, boys who want to express themselves in arts, that. So we have a holistic program that capture the needs of even the boys you talks about, maybe the needy boys.
Okay, I see. So, lastly, my last question for you will have to be that how can we as the people help support your mission and your cause? What can we do, like like internationally, and those who live in Nigeria? What can they do to help you?
Yes. One of the things is that you can be a volunteer, if you are in Nigeria, to join us locally, or in wherever you live in the country, you can become like an ambassador for BMAN, or you become like a member of the BMAN legacy circle, who create time, once a week, to meet with 12 boys within your community, and will be able to offer you the resources that you will use to mentor these young men. Now, that if you want to do that, just reach out to us at BMAN, Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network. We'll be glad to have you join us in your city. Now, if you cannot offer that, you could help us fundraise. You can be a fundraiser for us on our fundraising partnering organization like Global Giving. We have a wonderful opportunity on the 3rd of December, which is the Giving Tuesday, where Global Giving will be giving incentives up to $750,000 to projects that receive the most donations. On our Global Giving page, we have about 12 projects. You may choose to give to any of these projects that will help our work with the young men. And this is so close. So, Pari, we need this fund. We need this incentive to flow to us, so we can amplify this work we do all over the world as we begin from this part of the world. So you can also join us to facilitate in virtual programs. We run virtual programs on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes Fridays, even on Mondays, on different thematics that meets the needs of young men. So you can support us with your funding. You could help. If you don't have, you can volunteer on our page to set up a fundraiser for BMAN. It could be $50, $100, $200, whatever amount you support the organization with. You are investing in the future of young men. The truth about it is this: we cannot prepare the future for our young men. We can only prepare our young men for the future. And that's what BMAN is doing, to empower them for the future that is ahead of them.
Okay, I see. That's beautiful. So, thank you so much for doing this interview with us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me. And this was B Man, once again, BMAN, and hosted by me, Pariwash. So, goodbye to you and good luck on your initiative.